Our Computex 2025 coverage is made possible by Corsair, Asus, Phanteks, G-Skill, Lian, Seasonic, Thermal Grizzly, Trix, Team Group, Antec, Pro Gamers Group, InWin, BitsPower, Be Quiet, Cable Mod, and Cougar.
What's going on, guys? It is Computex Day 4, the final day. I'm Stuart from GGF, and we are at the Team Group booth. Now, this video is going to be a little bit different. I'll be covering some of their products, but you may have noticed I've got a media badge here that says PC Builder now. Team Group are sponsoring the Newegg PC Builder competition. It's happening upstairs in the foyer, and I'll be cutting to and from that. I'm not sure how many times yet, but we have basically a PC build-off competition between some elites and some rookies. Now, I've been sharing some of that on my socials. You may have seen it from some other people because they've been sharing it as well. So basically, Timmy from PC Works and Pedro from PCMR, they are competing against some rookies, and we will cut to that a little bit later to see how they're going, and we'll see how the end results look. I'm not even sure how it actually works. I believe they're not building a PC as fast as they can. There are judges, so once they build it, I believe their builds are going to be judged. I think they only have about an hour and a half, so it should be pretty sweet to see how they look. But anyway, back over to Team Group here. We're going to look at, mainly for Team Group, it's going to be memory, which is this stuff, or DDR5. We've got some SODIMMs here, and of course, going to look at SSDs as well, and maybe some other stuff here. Now, to get things out of the way, this whole table here is based on the CKD memory modules. So that's the newer Intel ones. That has the clock driver built in. Even these SODIMM ones have it. All of these other ones, now you might be wondering, well, these are some pretty funky colors over here. So the idea behind this is what Team Group is doing is it is currently the year of the snake. So we'll get some real close-up shots of these. Now, they said to me these are prototypes. These aren't in production. Of course, they've got a lot of SKUs going on here, a lot of different patterns. I want to know your feedback. I'll go over all of these close, and you can see the different variations. So obviously these two here, the RGB ones up here, they're Extreme, T-Force Extreme. They've had the white and the black. That before was a solid white, solid black. Now they have a bit of aesthetic on the side. Kind of looks like a bit of a snake pattern. I think it looks pretty good. At first I didn't know what it actually was on the side of it, but now that I do get it. These ones over here, I don't think they are related to the same theme, but these are just a different iteration of their non-RGB Extreme. It's just like I would say a dark silver and a light silver, and most of these modules go up to something like 8,000, 8,400, which is pretty sweet. And Team Group are also launching, we covered this at another booth, they're launching their 64 gigabyte modules as well, and I believe that goes to 7,200 megahertz, so that'll allow you to run 256 gigabytes in one system if it's a 4-DIMM system. Moving down the line a bit, I mentioned the SODIMMs. Obviously, they're not going to put heat spreaders on that. They're not going to do anything fancy because that'll go in your laptop. Moving down to more of their Delta RGB. Now, Team Group has had this, or Team Force has had this Delta RGB for a very long time. They had it in their DDR4, and now we have it here. I think these patterns are pretty cool. Obviously, they're going with the scales sort of design like a snake, because it is the year of the snake. I really like this white one up here. This is a bit of a army camo one. This one's a little bit too bright for me. I don't mind this one if I was doing a white build, but I actually like them all really. But we want to know your thoughts. Is this something you can get into, or you just prefer something like stock solid colors? And then as for the speed of all these, 8,400 and 8,800 for these, 24 gig modules for all of these, and they may push these in different sizes. If there's enough feedback and people do want these, they may push forward to doing these in all of these colors. Before we look at some more SSDs on the table behind us where they're all laid out, there's actually none on this actual table, but one in the system. This one is a beefed up Z5 drive from Team Group. When it comes up on the screen here, you can actually see the speed. So most of the Gen 5s, the newer ones, will do something like 14 for the read, but this is also doing 14,000 for the write. So I just wanted to show you that one because that's pretty interesting to see those high spec speeds on this SSD. Over here we've got two SSDs. Now both of these have two very different use cases. We have the ME Pro and the GE Pro. The ME Pro is running on the SMI controller, and the GE Pro is running on the inner grid. So basically the ME Pro is designed for high efficiency, something like laptops, portable devices, because it's all about power efficiency, and they say it will, or it should, extend your battery life up to around 35% with running a drive like this. Now moving over to the GE Pro, that's all about high capacity, but it's also about keeping temps down. So they say the active thermal solution, it keeps the temperature below 50 degrees. Now that's pretty good for a Gen 5 drive, and they will come in sizes of up to 8 terabytes. Now, when I mean it keeps temps below, I'm assuming that's with this actual dedicated heatsink on and with the fan. So if you do like your motherboard's heatsink that already comes on it, this one has its own, so you will probably have to remove that to install their custom heatsink. So I've got some more drives over here. I'm not going to cover all of these. What I mainly do want to showcase is this new heatsink design. So before we looked at that larger one, which was a beefy air-cooled design, which you're probably not going to always want to run that on your motherboard. So moving over to this one. This was the GE Pro we mentioned earlier. This one is the T-Force AI Flow X. Now everyone's using AI. So basically this is a TEC Peltier technology. It uses a thermal electric cooling system design. As you can see here, I'll get a shot of this exploded diagram, and that's going to help cooling those Gen 5 SSDs. Now, there's no sort of performance results on there or anything like that, but they were saying it will perform just as good as this one, if not even better. And the fan on this one, believe it or not, is so small, it's probably about the size of my finger, so you can just see it on that image there. Now, something that's pretty cool over here, TEAMGROUP has been doing the all-in-one cooled solutions for the M.2. So this one over here is a 120 all-in-one cooler. You can see it there, pump built in, but this drives 3 of their SSDs. Now, I'm not sure if you have to purchase the SSDs with the cooling kit. It'd be pretty cool if you can just buy it separately, but I can just see it's going to be a bit of a mission to hose or tube all these up. Now, I'm assuming the tubes come already pre-installed because it'll get a bit messy, so the lengths will be defined as they are now. So if your motherboard has, say, 2 really close, one further away on the motherboard for the M.2 slots, you're going to have 2 bunched up, and then one lead might be very far away, or one tube might be very far away from the other one. So it looks good on here because the spacing is nice and even. They've been able to make this themselves. I would like to see how it looks on an actual motherboard because it might get a little bit tricky. Moving on to this one here, this last one. TEAMGROUP had something very similar like this before. This is the AIO with your CPU cooler. They got a magnetic top there which does the ARGB lighting. That's not on. And now we have the single M.2 cooler there. So that will just go down to your primary one that's just under the CPU. And I think this one would work a little bit better because that's normally within the same distance. So they can control the length of that tube. Rather the one beforehand that has the 3 tubes, they never know where your M.2 slots are going to be. So I just got word that something is going on at the Newegg PC Builder Competition, so we're going to jump over and see what's going on. We are back at the Newegg PC Builder Competition. I have Timmy from PC Work, so he's finished his build here. I believe not everyone finished, so Timmy I saw was finished, he was done. He was sitting at his table waiting for the others to finish, so you absolutely smashed it. With your build, I believe that you were able to choose all of your gear on the table. So what's your thoughts about that? Because that's different than a lot of our other competitions.
Yeah, so it was good to be able to kind of like figure out first. I mean, unfortunately, I was like number 4, so I was kind of towards the end, so I was 4 out of 5. But for me, you know, to be able to choose the different hardware to kind of make it easier for myself, you know, and I also got to be able to choose the TeamCube G50 1 terabyte hard drive. So, you know, slotted it into the machine, everything posted up. So it was really, really good. Okay,
sweet. So yeah, as you said, you were 4. So I believe the judges randomly chose. Was it like a draw to see who went first and then went down?
Yeah, so we were actually on stage and then we got to reach in and then draw. I think Pedro drew second and I drew 4th. So I kind of got whatever was left on the table.
So yeah, that's crazy because if you're 4th, were there like extra spares?
Yeah, well, so there was actually extra spares. So I mean, there was 5 of us, but there was probably about 8 or 9 cases. So I did get a choice of them. I've never actually used some of the cases and some of the hardware on there, but some of the stuff I recognized, like the TeamGROUP hard drive, like that was a go-to for sure. Okay, sweet, that's pretty good. Now, can't spend too long on all this. Any issues or any challenges you had along the way? Because people think that building a PC, if you're part of the elites, it's pretty easy. But when you're like in this like arena, you're under pressure, everyone's watching. Did you have any like stressed out moments or anything? Yeah, so actually, I got the whole motherboard and everything all put together. And after the motherboard was put together, I actually went over to put the motherboard actually in the case, and the hardware wasn't in the back. So I was sitting there like, I don't have no motherboard screws. And then they were like, oh, just kind of slotted in there. And I was like, well, it's just gonna fall out. So they were lucky enough to like find the actual box for the case and then got everything put in. So.
Okay, sweet. So, and you were still finished on time. which is good. So we'll move on to someone else, and good luck for the final result.
Okay, thanks, sir.
All right, we just looked at Timmy's build. Now we have Pedro from PCMR, and he is also part of the elites, and he finished on time. So both of these guys absolutely smashed it. So how do you think you win?
I'm not sure if I'll win, but it was a fun project and it was a fun experience. Even funner than I thought it would be, actually.
Okay, sweet. And as I said to Timmy, it's pretty sweet that you actually got to choose your gear. Now, I believe that you were chosen second.
I was second, which isn't first, but still gives you a good opportunity to pick some parts. I picked a case. It's a very easy case to build in. And I actually picked some different components than I usually do. I wanted to have a fun build, and going all black, it was a very straightforward build to do. I got to bias in like 25 minutes or so, and then it was all about figuring out RGB. Because RGB headers are that kind of problem that many of us have when building. So it's not super straightforward. But yeah, in the end, all RGB, just how I like it, yeah.
Yeah, I always see you posting, you love your RGB. Absolutely insane. And you went with the Corsair 4000, that looks absolutely sick. Did you run into, apart from setting up all the RGB, did you run into any major things? Because you're part of the elites. I said this to Timmy. You can build a PC at home, no issues at all. But when you're here, you're on like a stage, you got the lights, you got everyone watching. Any stressful moments?
Not really. It was just the RGB that was kind of stressing me out. In the beginning, I thought I would have some issues with the cooler, because sometimes some coolers are kind of hard. But yeah, this was very straightforward, other than the RGB. But in the end, it's beautiful, yeah.
Sweet. All right, looks like they're doing something now. They might be announcing the winners. Good luck, and we'll see how we go at the end. Thank you. So, looks like they are announcing the winners right now. It's a little bit noisy. So we got third place.
Is Timmy. Woo! Okay, yes, please come to the stage. All right, and then the second place. Second place is Pedro. Pedro! Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of 2025 Newegg PC Builder goes to Jill! 恭喜秀获得我们今年的 PC Builder 冠军！耶！ Okay, thank you, Kate.
Alrighty guys, we saw those results and we have Chill here who smashed it out of the park. First place, took out the elites. I want to just go over this build and say this looks absolutely sweet. Now Chill was randomly chosen first to choose the hardware, so that probably does help because you've got this really nice looking Lianli chassis that drives cooler. Now I want to ask you one question. Was there something along the way in this build that you struggled with, something that was a little bit difficult?
I think the cable arrangement is very difficult to me.
Yeah, so I think for most people doing it, like all these guys, because the judges weren't just looking back here and saying, yep, that looks good. They were going over it. They wanted to check the RGB. They wanted to check around the back. But anyway, it looks sweet. Well done. I'll shake your hand. Good job.
Thank you.
And we are back at the Team Group booth. Now that was a pretty sick competition. Congrats to all of those winners. So I covered at another booth that the CAMM2 modules were sort of not as much hype at Computex this year. It was all the hype last year. But funnily enough, here at the Team Group booth, I've seen two motherboards running this really interesting CAMM2 setup. Now we have the Vulcan from Team Group, or I should say T-Force. I keep on saying Team Group, but I should probably be saying T-Force. And then we have their Delta R T-Force as well. So Vulcan non-RGB, the Delta R is their RGB. Now, another interesting thing to take this even further is I can tell that this board is an Asus board. Looks like an ROG board. It even says it down here, Asus Z890. So this can only speculate that some pretty cool things might be coming from ROG and Team Group. We can see we've got some funky power right in the middle here. I don't even know if this is a prototype, if this is a final design. Obviously they've kept all the heat sinks off to try and keep it sort of under wraps or undercover maybe. I can see they've got their Slim SAS, which ROG has been doing on some of their boards lately. So it definitely seems like a board from them. Plus I can see even the text looks like an ROG board. But yeah, these will be in 32 64 gigabyte capacities, and the speed on this one goes up to 8,000 and 8,000 CL42 on both. But I'll just get some shots on this. This just gives you a completely different aspect on the whole DIMM and memory sort of solution than what we're used to seeing. And I can see it actually, can I take this off? I can see it actually sticks a little bit past the motherboard. So it's just going to be weird, because straight away I was thinking, well, that's where the 24 pin in. So the 24 pin has now been moved up here. So I'm kind of thinking, is it really worth doing all of this? They got to move the 24 pin up here. They probably got to do a whole other heap of other stuff just to get this memory module, which we already have memory modules. Instead of going vertically, we're now going flat. So we've had to do all this just to get this on here, but it looks pretty cool. It is something different. I'd be pretty keen to do a build in something like this, just to play around with how I can get different setups to look, but I want to know what you think of it, if it's going to be a benefit or if you think it's going to be a bit of a gimmick. A few things over here with, I would say, Team Group's more workstation creator gear. We have their T-Create. Now, I've used their T-Create consumer memory in quite a few builds. I like how simple it is. It works really good with the Asus Pro range, but now they've had their ECC memory, but now we have them in 64 gigabyte modules. So the PC to my left, which will be your right, is decked out with 8 modules. So if my maths is right, that should be 512 gigabytes of that memory. So that's pretty sweet that they're moving on to that. And now this interesting thing over here, I do apologize if it's a bit noisy. There is a TV blasting right next to me. This SSD here, I've used these before from other brands. These are the U.2. This is a PCIe Gen 5. These will come in sizes of 15, 30, and 61 terabytes. So this could be, I don't know which one exactly this is, but they're all the same. You can't tell from just this shot. You need to look at the back for the specs on it to show which size it is. But this could be a 61 terabyte SSD, and it runs at 14,000 megabytes for the read and 10,000 for the write. Now that's pretty insane. So those new ROG boards that are running the Slim SAS, you could run that straight into a Slim SAS on your board, and you could run like 15, 30, 61. I know you're not going to use it for this, but you could whack this as a Steam drive. You've got 61 terabytes of Steam games ready to go at that high speed, but obviously these are aimed for creators. I use 3 of these from another brand in my workstation. They're really good for holding a heap of data. Now, one last thing I want to cover, which is over to my left, it's going to get noisier because I'm now going near the TV, is T-Create now do an external RAID solution. Now, I can tell this is a RAID solution. I was going to unplug it, but I thought they might be doing something on it. I don't want to break their PC. So this is running 2 of these. She could run 2 of their 61s, 2 of their 30s, 2 of their 15s. I advise you keep the 2 the same. I wouldn't mix and match. You can run the little dip switches on the back. No doubt that's going to have a legend to change it from like striping, mirroring, standard. So you can have it double the capacity. You could have it mirror the capacity. So 261s will give you 61. It'll be mirrored and all of that cool stuff. The only thing I thought that could be improved, it's running a USB 20. If they could bump it to USB 40, because they say here the maximum read and write is going to be 1,000 for the read and 900 for the write. So that's 1,000 megabytes, where these drives alone can do 14,000. So you're going to be losing a bit of speed running this through USB, but if they could even do like USB 4, speed that up, that would be pretty sweet. Now this device over here, I'm not sure how much of a market there is for it, but this is aimed for journalists, agents, it says creators. I'm not sure how many will benefit from this, and also for defense use. Now you've heard of burner phones. This is a burner SSD. So basically, it doesn't have a one-time use, but once you trigger this switch, the drive is dead. So basically, you have sensitive data. You need to erase it quickly in a hurry. Don't plug it in, don't format it. You might need to do a low-level format. That takes time. You flick the switch like this on the drive, and it kills it. The drive is dead. Obviously, it's not going to blow up in your hand, anything like that. It's not going to explode. It'll just short something inside, and the drive is completely dead. Your data, from what they say, is unrecoverable. So for creators, I don't know who's creating stuff that needs to be that important, but maybe if you're a journalist, and especially I can see the main use would be for defense use, but I thought that's pretty cool, and that is something I haven't seen before yet from one of these brands. So that's it at the Team Group booth here at Computex. Now some pretty cool products. Those CAMM2 modules look sweet. Can't wait to do a build with those. And then those workstation enterprise products were cool as well. And it was pretty interesting to see how well that PC builder competition went with Newegg. But anyway, like always, thank you for watching. I want to thank Team Group for supporting this coverage, and we'll see you in the next one.